Good afternoon, everybody. Are we ready to meditate? Yes. Is the audio-video team ready to meditate? Yes. And are you ready to record? Yes. All right, the meditation is more important than the recording, I think. Anyway, you might have expected Ajahn Brahm to be here, because he gave the talk yesterday, and I know some of you were there. But he left this morning, really early, at 3 o'clock he was already getting up to leave, because he is teaching in Malaysia, a retreat. And this morning, he left before breakfast already, and I told the people at breakfast, Ajahn Brahm left me and the Upatak, the other monk, with the hard job to eat all the breakfast and all the dana, all the food at lunchtime, because there was so much food on the table. And that's why I say it's such a hard job, because it's all for the monks, and we have to eat it all. No, not all of it, luckily. Otherwise we would get really, really fat. We share what we have left over with the people who bring it. But I made that joke because it's always inspiring to see how people take care of the monastics. And also, of course, take care of each other. But when they bring the dana, they share it with people like me. And yes, sometimes you think, wow, that is really special. Because what did I do to deserve that? I'm just a simple little monk, just living a very simple, happy life. I just live the life that I love, and for some reason that inspires people, and they want to support that. And that always makes me so very, very happy to see. Does that make you happy to see as well when you see that? Yeah, or when you do that. Or you don't even have to do it yourself. Sometimes you see other people doing that. It makes you very, very happy. And this is one of the types of happiness that the Buddha really encouraged. The happiness that comes from sharing, from generosity. It's a kind of happiness you can feel inside. You see, it uplifts your mind. And the Buddha also talked about taking this kind of happiness, this gladness or joy, as an object of meditation. So these kind of sharing activities are actually very much connected to the whole of the Buddhist path, including meditation. Now, and today I am here to talk more about the meditation part, not so much the sharing part, although they are so very much connected. And what I thought to talk about today is something that a lot of people say they struggle with in meditation. Let me test you out. What do you struggle with in meditation? No answers. Oh, you don't struggle with anything. Okay, well, then I don't need to tell you anything. Let's just meditate. No, somebody had an answer. Yes. Yes. They say the trouble is to get the mind to be still, to stop thinking. And that is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. Because indeed, that is something that people very often ask. How do I stop thinking in meditation? Because this is actually one of the, how do I say this? Goals, or one of the directions that we want to move the mind in, is towards more peace and silence inside. The Buddha used so many words to convey this idea, like these are all Pali words, it doesn't matter what the Pali is, but samatha means something like calm, Passaddhi means tranquility, and Ajahn Brahm also translates samadhi as stillness. So all these ideas, calm, tranquility, stillness, even equanimity. The word is upekkha, literally means just to look on, not to interfere, not much activity going on. So I'm saying this is an important part of meditation, is to learn how to stop all the thoughts that are going on inside. Would you like to hear a bit about that today? Yeah? Okay. All right, excellent. So, how do we stop thinking is the question often. And then I think, well, that is like asking, how do I stop running? Nobody asks, how do I stop running? You just stop running. It's not, nobody asks, what is the technique to stop running? Do I start noting the steps, or do I pay attention to the breath? Or no, you just stop running. And it's really, it sounds like I'm joking, but it's not that much different from stopping the thinking. You don't need specific techniques really, or you don't need specific techniques. You can just stop thinking, because thinking is something that we keep doing. We always keep the thinking is an active process that we ourselves instigate. That's what we keep doing. And the idea I'm trying to get across is that we can just stop doing this. Of course, it sounds much more easy when I tell you than when you actually have to do it. But it is a way to look at it that's different. Because often, when we see the thoughts coming up in our mind, we think, oh, I have to do something about this. I have to maybe somehow suppress the thoughts or whatever. But no, you can look at it differently. Instead of doing something about it, it's about stop doing what you are already doing. Does that make some sense? Yeah? It's a different way of looking at things. And sometimes just a different way of looking at things helps a lot. So we look at stopping the thinking as if we are like stopping running. Yeah? And this is actually an image that the Buddha himself brought up. The image of somebody who runs and then thinks, oh, why am I running? I can just stop running. And this is an image from the suttas about meditation as well. So about silencing the mind. So today I want to make silence the theme of the meditation, and then specifically the silence of the thoughts. But to jump in straight away with quieting the thoughts is often too quick. So before we quiet the thoughts, we do what we usually do. We relax the body, we arrive in the present moment, we find some peace and happiness. And later I will do a guided meditation talk about that. We do all those preliminary things first, and then we might suggest to the mind to find some silence. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I meditate, I remember all these ideas about being in the present moment, about focusing on the breath, relaxing. But sometimes I forget about the fact that I can just stop thinking. And sometimes I just don't reflect on that. And because I don't reflect on it, I just keep thinking. It's like so automatic. You're just sitting there and just meditating in a way, but you just keep thinking. And I just don't remember, oh, I can't stop thinking actually. It's just like you can stop running. It's literally in the sutta, the one about the running, it's really like, oh, why am I running? I can just stop running. And that is to me such a nice image sometimes for meditation. Like, oh, why am I thinking? I can just stop thinking. And it's a bit of a skill to learn how to stop thinking. Because we're so used to the thinking all the time. It's such an automatic thing that we do all our lives, and then suddenly we sit down to meditate, and the idea is to stop doing this thing which we always been doing. So it's not something that when I later tell you try to find some quiet, that you will immediately stop all the thinking and it will be 100% quiet. That's probably not how the mind works. Sometimes it is, but usually there's degrees of silence in the mind. You can have the really active thoughts that are just like a loudspeaker in your mind, and it just doesn't turn off. It's like somebody really shouting in your mind. Or you can have the more quiet thoughts. You can have also more spaced out thoughts. These are degrees of silence. And what we want to do in meditation is to just see if we can be a bit more quiet than we were before. Don't try to aim for perfect stillness, because that is usually you're aiming a bit too far. Just see if you can improve a little bit. And how do we do this? Oh, I said before, suggesting to the mind to find some quiet, to just suggest the idea of silence, often is already enough. And when we do this, we suggest to the mind, maybe it's nice to have some silence now instead of all that thinking. We don't need that thinking right now. When we make that suggestion, please always do it out of kindness. Don't be a boss to your mind and don't go, okay, quiet, shut up. I don't know if any of you have kids, but if you tell them, quiet, shut up, does it work? No, it doesn't, right? They just gotta rebel and be more noisy. Well, the mind is like a little kid. If you tell it, shut up now, why are you thinking so much? Then it will just not get quiet. But if maybe you had a little baby and you just say, little baby, rock-a-bye baby, be quiet, little baby, then the baby goes quiet. You can do the same with the mind. Mind, you've been so busy, thinking so much about all the things in life, about work, about the taxes, about, I don't know what we think about the weather, about our parents. No, now it's time for meditation. And we don't have to do all that stuff. You really make this suggestion out of compassion for yourself and out of kindness. And when we do that, the mind is much more likely to take on board that suggestion, to find some silence inside. At least that's what I find. Now, before we start the meditation, I want to say one more thing about the silence. Is that the silence can become our main focus of meditation. It can be the object of meditation. To really focus in on the silence and really make that our main interest, as it were. And I was surprised that even yesterday Ajahn Brahm in the 30-minute meditation talked about this as well, to make silence the object of meditation. I don't know why it surprised me, but usually he doesn't do that so often. But he does. And when we do take the silence as an object of the mind, we will find that silence is something very precious, but also something very fragile. It can be easy to disturb. Now, the Buddha had a wonderful image for meditation. And well, many beautiful images actually, but I'm thinking of one particular one where he's actually talking about the so-called nimittas in the mind, which are a little bit beyond the silence, but these nimittas occur in the exact same place in the mind where you find the silence. And what the Buddha said about these nimittas is, don't hold them too tightly, but also don't hold them too loosely. And for that he gave the image of holding a little bird. If you hold the bird really tightly, what does it do? The bird dies. You squeeze it to death. And if you hold it too loosely, well, you know what happens. Floop, 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 floop. Bye-bye, bird. It flies away, and you lose the bird. It's the same with the silence. If you try to hold it too tightly, if you do it too forcefully, you squeeze it to death. And the silence will be, at the very least, very unpleasant. But usually it just disappears. But if you hold it too loosely, then you might fall asleep, or you just start thinking again. So later, when we make silence the suggestion and silence the focus, hold it not too tightly, not too loosely, just right. And hopefully you'll find that it can be very enjoyable, and you can find a lot of rest there. Does that sound like a good idea? All right then. Then now we can actually practice what we preach and actually do some meditation together. We will do a meditation for about 45 minutes for those who don't know. Oh, I should have said at the start, if you're totally new to meditation, then there are introduction classes in the room out of the door to the right. But you can also stay here if you want. All right, let's do some meditation now. When we sit for meditation, please make sure that you sit comfortably. Don't assume that the first posture you take has to be the posture for the rest of the meditation. Give yourself a few minutes to just wiggle around and find a comfortable position for your body. I'm doing exactly that myself, as you might see. Just see if there's any adjustments that are necessary to make your body just a bit more comfortable. And it may take a few minutes to get in touch with the body. So just bring your awareness to your body and see if there is any way you can make it more comfortable. And if there is, then this is the perfect time to make those adjustments. And usually when you find a posture that is quite right, maybe not perfect, but good enough, then you know it. Because your body might tell you, oh yeah, this feels comfortable, this feels good. And once you think you've made enough of the coarse adjustments to your body, see if you can make slighter adjustments. See if you can relax different parts of your body that may feel tense, or that may otherwise feel uncomfortable. If there is tightness or tension in the body, the kind of discomfort that comes from just holding your body too tightly, see if you can relax that. Just allow the body to settle down. Allow it to just be here. Pay some special attention to any areas of the body where you know you usually keep the stresses of life, like, for example, your shoulders. Send some kindness to the shoulders. Just allow them to become softer, more loose, by letting go of any unnecessary tension and stress that may be stored up there. And also the muscles in the neck and jaw. Just relax those as well. The muscles around the eyes and the muscles in the face are another place where people often keep a lot of tension. This is one of the major causes for headaches. But we can relax also the muscles in our face and the muscles around our eyes, the muscles in our forehead. Just by turning down the tension, as it were, and just allowing all those muscles to become naturally more at ease. And if there's any more points in the body that you feel can benefit from some more relaxation, then please do so by sending kind thoughts. And once the body is reasonably calm, peaceful and relaxed, turn your attention to the here and now. Just let whatever is happening come to your attention. By just arriving here in this hall, no longer need to rush around in the mind. Just acknowledging that we are here, that we have nowhere else to go. That we can enjoy this moment. And whenever I'm not speaking, for a while try to just enjoy the silence in the outside world. The silence when I'm not speaking. We may hear some birds and cars, but overall it's pretty quiet here, and that is very enjoyable. If you've really found some relaxation in the body or some real enjoyment of the silence in the outside world, then please, you can stay with that for the rest of the meditation. But you can also follow along with my following suggestion, which is to suggest to the mind to also find some silence inside. And when the thoughts start racing around, just to tell your mind, you can be quiet now. Silence is more enjoyable than thinking. I give you permission to stop thinking. Give your mind those kind of suggestions in whatever way you feel might work for your mind. And then just see what happens. Every so often you may need to slightly nudge the mind towards the quiet again, or even suggest again that is no time to think now. Suggest the quiet again. And if you do find some silence in the place where your thoughts occur, then enjoy that silence and make it an object of your mind. Don't hold it too tightly. Also don't hold it too loosely. Let it come to you. And with these suggestions, I will leave you now to meditate for about half an hour in quiet. we are coming to the end of this meditation. Always make sure you end every meditation session on a positive note. So please thank yourself for coming here, and for sitting down. Please also take an opportunity to thank your mind for whatever silence it may have found, whatever little bit it may have been. Send some positive thoughts towards yourself. All right. So those were some instructions on how to find some quiet inside of the mind. And these are not always, how shall I phrase this properly? The silence in the mind is a subtle object. As I said before, it's very fragile. So these kind of instructions may not be the easiest, and you might need to do this kind of meditation more than just once or twice. Keep practicing it, and one day it may click a bit more than maybe perhaps it did today. But maybe it already clicked a little bit today, or maybe you've done this before. Because these instructions are not made up by me or Ajahn Brahm, it's actually from the Buddha. There's a sutta in the middle length discourses called the Stilling of Thoughts. And there the Buddha gives a number of suggestions of how to still the thoughts. And one of them is exactly what I've been saying. Like a man thinks, I can stop running. You just suggest to yourself, oh, I can stop thinking. And you reduce the thinking. Like turning down the volume of your stereo, the thoughts become less. And when this happens, it can be so peaceful. You can find lots of energy there as well. And the silence can become the object of the meditation. And it can even replace the breath as an object of meditation. And the silence can lead you all the way to the deep meditations, to the nimittas that can appear in the mind, because they appear in exactly that place where you focus on the silence. So this is a very nice meditation to do from time to time, especially when you have trouble with too much thinking, to train your mind to do the opposite. Because in school we have been taught how to think properly and how to analyze problems. Well, in the school of the Buddha, we are taught the opposite. We are taught how to quiet down and how to still the thinking. And just like you have to go to school for many years to learn how to think. In meditation, sometimes it also takes a while. It's a learning process. So if these instructions maybe have been a bit too, maybe they didn't relate to you, can happen, then keep trying from time to time, because at some point your mind will get it. And then when your mind gets it, it often becomes so simple to stop the thoughts. Sometimes it's just like flicking a button, or flicking a switch, just like you turn the light off. You just think, okay, I'll turn the light off, click. Sometimes it can be like that in your mind. You just, okay, I'm gonna stop thinking, click, and it's just quiet. And it's like the Buddha said, that people can think what they want to think. Well, that also implies they can stop thinking when they want to stop thinking. That's what the developed meditators can do. And yeah, sometimes in your meditation you need to remind yourself of the quiet. Sometimes you need to flick the switch a couple times. You flick it and it works for a while, but you lose attention or whatever, and suddenly the switch flicks back and the light is back on, the thoughts are back on. But then you just, okay, flick the switch again and find the quiet again. When I was meditating, I found the quiet inside, but then suddenly I started thinking about a conversation I had yesterday with Ajahn Brahm. And it was very vivid. It was almost like I was there again, having the same conversation. Then I thought, no, there's no need for that right now. I can be quiet. So I just suggested the quiet to the mind. And the conversation went away. And I found some quiet again. This is a very beautiful part of meditation. Also a very important part of meditation. Because the thoughts inside of our mind can be such an obstacle to peace. And they also sap so much energy of it. We just keep thinking about this, about that, about the conversation with Ajahn Brahm, about tomorrow or whatever. And it takes a lot of energy. I think some scientists have estimated that the mind, or the brain I should say, takes about 30% of all the energy that we eat. Goes into just the working of the brain. Well, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not sure a scientist ever tested this, but I feel that if you still down the thoughts, then some of that energy is no longer required to go to the mind, to the thinking, and we actually save energy in that way, and we can actually put that energy in something else. Like we become more aware instead of putting our energy in the doing aspects of our mind, the thinking and stuff. We direct the energy towards the knowing part of the mind, towards the mindfulness, the awareness. And when we learn to do that, often life becomes much more beautiful. Because we see more, we are more aware. I've so often had meditations and I come out and just the world looks much more beautiful. It's like somebody colored in the world with a paintbrush. Like a really bright paint. Everything looks more beautiful. And things sound more beautiful as well. Food tastes more beautiful. Why? Because you have more energy to know stuff, because you put less energy in all that thinking and doing. And that is also something the Buddha said, that somebody who gets good meditations, even if they have very bad food to eat, to them it will taste like the finest curries in the world. Well, isn't that something? Because your mind becomes more aware, and even in very simple foods you can taste a lot. So I hope that gives you some inspiration and some ideas of how to progress your meditation and to find that beautiful quiet. So now it is time for questions, if you have any, but we can also keep quiet. First, take some questions from here, if anybody has any. It's always somebody who needs to break the ice first.
Is it normal to see colours back in your mind when you get into that deep meditative state?
Yes, it is. Yes, to see some colors in the mind is a normal occurrence to happen when your mind gets more peaceful and more relaxed. Occasionally people see colors because they start focusing back on their eyes. So they see like the colors you see when you close your eyes and you push your eyelids, you know that? But it's not that kind of color you're talking about.
No,
it's more like
amber, like a purpley pink.
Yeah, some colors that is like in the mind, not in the eyes. Yes. And that is very natural to happen. And for some people this happens more quickly than others. Some people are more prone to seeing the colors. Others are not so prone to it. But this is natural, and it can be a common object of your meditation as well, actually, those colors. But first you need to actually find enough peace and stability so those colors also become peaceful and stable, so they become easy to focus on. It's very similar, maybe you've noticed, with the silence. When the silence is beautiful and peaceful, it's quite easy to focus on, but sometimes it's harder to focus on. As I said before, the silence is like a bird. You need to hold it with the right kind of energy in a way. And it's the same with those colors that we might also call nimittas sometimes. It's you need to hold them with the right kind of energy, and also when the moment is right. So yes, yeah. Now sometimes when we talk about these nimittas, there may be meditators here who are like, I've been meditating for decades and I never get those lights or nimittas, maybe. Or maybe not decades, but years and years. You're like, they keep talking about lights. Why not me? But people have different dispositions, you know. And don't become obsessed about trying to see the lights or thinking that you failed if you don't. To some people, it's their first time meditating and they see some of these lights. But for years and years, they sometimes see the lights, sometimes not, but they don't go much further. They don't attain the real deep peace that lies beyond when you go inside the lights, the jhanas. But other meditators, they practice and practice, they never see the lights, they never see the nimittas. But once they do, they go right into the jhanas. So maybe you are one of those people who never see the nimittas, but once you do, you go all the way. Because as I said, people have different dispositions. Some people are more likely to see the nimittas early, some people see them a bit more late in the calming of the mind. For some people, when they do see the nimittas, they go right deep. So don't worry. And then now you're like, when am I gonna attain the jhanas instead of the nimittas? That's the same thing. Some people attain jhanas more easily than others. But is the goal the jhanas? No. The goal is eventually, for Buddhists anyway, maybe some people are just interested here in meditation just to become more peaceful, but for Buddhists, the eventual goal of meditation is not just to become a bit more peaceful and focused, it's to get insights into the nature of life. Now some people may do quite a lot of jhanas and they still don't get the insights. Other people just get one jhana and they understand straight away what the Buddha was talking about. So I'm saying all this so you don't worry about where you are in your meditation, or don't judge how much progress you've made by different kind of stages, quote unquote, because you may be much closer to deep insights than you actually think you are, because some of the minds just work that way. This is something I wanted to share. It's not related to your question really, but something that came up. So, any other questions? Wow, that's nice. I think this device, maybe there's questions from online. Looks like there's none. This is a button. Oh. There is not none. It's full of questions. Okay. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions. Well, I see people already understand. If you want to leave, don't feel afraid to leave. But there may be some really good questions. From Sachinta Hira. Dear Venerable, what is the simplest explanation for the concept of dependent origination found in the Abhidhamma? Well, I don't know about the Abhidhamma too much. I don't study the Abhidhamma much. But the simplest explanation for dependent origination is found in the Four Noble Truths. So read the Four Noble Truths. But this is not really about meditation, so not really the right time. Could you speak a bit more about the posture in meditation? Because I struggle with it a lot. Thank you very much. That's from Eiko from Germany. Well, posture in meditation, make sure you find a comfortable posture. And if you struggle, then first of all, you don't need to sit cross-legged to meditate. You may not see it on the camera, but many people here, well, half of the people are walking out now, but when they were still here, most of the people were still sitting on the chairs. And maybe you should try that as well. Sit on a chair or make yourself really comfortable. Just indulge your body. You see, I sort of put cushion here, put 2 cushions here. Sometimes we build what we call a meditation nest. You put all the cushions like really nicely around you and behind you. And if you come to Jhana Grove for a meditation retreat and you look in the meditation hall when the people are out for lunch, you find all these meditation nests. And everybody's is different. Some people have the really big cushions, some people have a little chair, some people have a big chair. And the hall turns into quite a mess with all those different nests. But it's beautiful because it allows people to find the kind of stuff that is proper for their own body. So please try that. Just try different things. And don't think you have to sit in one kind of specific way. I sometimes feel like an anchor the size of the earth is in my stomach when I meditate. I see a light sometimes over that, but it feels like the heaviest thing I've felt. What can it mean? Thank you. Can mean various things, probably, and it's for you to find out what it means. And the way to do that is to just stay with it, stay with that feeling. And be kind to it. Don't worry about it. It's not going to kill you. So just stay with it and be kind to it. Just say, that feeling, you can be here. And I am your friend. This kind of feeling is my life right now. And I will accept it as it is. And then you stay with that feeling. You can look at it more closely. Usually when some feeling in the body happens that we don't like, we tend to not want to look at it. We move away from it. But if you make peace with that feeling, you can look at it more closely and you can actually investigate more closely what it is and why it is there. Usually the kind of feelings of like heaviness in the stomach may have to do with some kind of stress or fear or something like that. But I cannot tell you. You have to find out for yourself. So, from Gabi from Germany, what to do when you feel tired and exhausted, when you want to start meditating? The mind is awake, but the body wants to sleep. What to do? Sleep? Yeah, sometimes that's the right thing to do. When the mind is very alert, the body wants to sleep, then often it's time to actually take a nap. Sometimes also though in meditation, you just sit there, you feel really quite a bit dull and tired in the beginning, but then again, do exactly the same as what I suggested the previous question. Just be there and be kind with that tiredness and just let it be. And you will find that often you thought you were super tired, but it's actually not that bad and it disappears very quickly. So whether you go to sleep or whether you continue to meditate, always do it out of kindness and compassion. Also, a good idea is maybe to, if this is a recurring problem, tiredness and exhaustion when you start meditating, is to meditate in a different time of day. Maybe if usually you meditate after you come back home from work, then of course it's natural that you might be tired. Or if you meditate right after a big meal, it's natural you become tired. But maybe try meditating in the morning. Maybe you wash your face, brush your teeth, and then meditate for half an hour or whatever. See if that helps. Because then you should be well rested most of the time. From Eddie Tim. Dear Ajahn, how do you suggest people who have problems in life handle regrets and fear? How does meditation help in this way? Well, regrets and fear, connected, also a tiny bit different. Regrets are always about the past, about things we've done before and that we just keep replaying in our mind. Oh, stupid Sunyo, why did you do that? And fear is always about the future. Oh no, what's gonna happen to me? Ooh, this might not be good. That kind of thing is always about the future. So, one thing to help handle both those things at the same time, you probably already guessed it, is to stay in the present moment and make peace with what is here, with how life is right now. Just allow life to come to you as it is, including those feelings of regrets and fear. Allow them to be part of the present moment as well. And if you do that, you come closer to the moment and your mind stops moving towards the past and future. And that is one way to handle regrets and fear. Why is letting go so hard? The theory looks simple and intuitive, but practicing and living it is so hard. Especially about people, letting go of people, I suppose is what you mean. Any advice, please? Letting go is so hard because we're so used to grabbing stuff all the time. We're used to attachment, and then we hear something that goes the other way, and we're not used to letting go. It's just that you haven't practiced it enough. But sometimes letting go is really easy. Sometimes I'm just meditating and I don't give any instructions, but my mind just automatically lets go of the thoughts, automatically lets go of the past and future. These kind of things. Why? Because I've practiced it a lot. So it becomes very easy. And it's the hard thing is to hold on. That is actually the hard thing. Ajahn Brahm said yesterday, the story of Ajahn Chah. How heavy is this stick? Ajahn Chah asked Ajahn Brahm. And before Ajahn Brahm could answer, Ajahn Chah threw away the stick. because the stick is only heavy when you hold on to it. And it's the same with letting go. Actually carrying the stick around all day, that is the hard part. Letting it go is actually the easy part. Especially with things that cause us suffering. To hold on to them is actually hard. Letting go should be easy. But still we don't let go. Why? Because we haven't really understood properly that those things that we hold on to are suffering. For example, I talked a lot about finding quiet before and letting go of the thoughts. But still the thoughts come in. Why? Well, one reason is that we haven't properly seen yet that it's actually quite a lot of suffering, these thoughts. We haven't seen the drawbacks of those thoughts yet. We haven't seen that it is actually hard to think. It's actually much more easy to not think in that sense. So sometimes letting go is so hard because you don't realize that the thing you're holding on to actually creates you suffering. So happy to listen to this. My main method is entering the stillness. It comes easily now. See, if you practice it a lot, it becomes more easy. From Zorba, this question is, wasn't sure if I'm doing it right. Should I continue with this? Yes, I say you should continue. The way to judge whether you should continue a particular type of meditation doesn't matter what it is. Is it instructions by Sunyo today, Ajahn Brahm's instructions from some other teachers, whatever. The way to judge whether you should continue or not is, am I finding more peace? Am I moving towards more stillness, more happiness, more joy? Am I becoming a more bright person, more happy person? Do I find more ease in life? Can I handle life more easily when I come out of meditation? This kind of thing, that should tell you whether you should continue a method or not. Not so much the method per se. Okay, and then there are some comments which are not specifically questions. So thank you for those comments. I've read them from Sibel and from Joanna, but I won't read them out here. So thank you everybody for your attention, especially the people here, also the people online. Thank you, and may you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, let's just pay respects to the Buddha, Dhammasanga.